Hello,
Hi,
witches.
witches.
Feels like it's been a long time.
It's only been a week, but we haven't sat in these chairs like this
in like a month.
In like a month.
So this feels like we're brand new again.
And we were going to do this as a stand-up tonight, but we got lazy.
We got lazy. We got late. We got everything. We got all the excuses in the books today.
All of them.
Yeah. So Kat was asking me some questions about this because I came up with this live and I came up with the words to it. And numerology to me is a fun party trick because you don't always have to take it super seriously. And that's what I love about it. And then I said something else that sounded really narcissistic, but it's not meant to be. It's like, well, what's the point of it for parties? You go around telling people about themselves. And I was like, yeah, this is great. I have great conversations. So when you learn just a little bit of numerology, and truly the only thing that we're going to focus on tonight is about the birth paths. So a birth path number in numerology is where you just add up all the numbers of your birthday together. Hi, Selena. So the birth path number. And if you want to look this up, there's tons of stuff on it. Tons.
So like if your birthday was today, you would add 5 plus 1 plus 6 plus 1. No, 5 plus 1 plus 6.
I'm proud of you for trying.
Plus I don't know 2 plus 2 plus 4 for the years.
Yeah.
And whatever that number totals, then you would break that down.
Yes.
Let's see what that number is. If you're born today, what's your birth path number? Go ahead. You can keep talking. I'll figure it out.
Well, I think that the fun thing to learn is birth path numbers because there's really only 9 of them, 1 through 9. There are numbers that are doubled up, but we're not going to get into that tonight because that's like a whole extra set. Every number that you add together, even if it creates 25 or 34, you're going to re-add 2 numbers together. So you're only ever going to get a single digit number, 1 through 9. And so all you have to do to kind of surprise people and say you know something about them is to have them add up their birthday and know a number, 1 through 9. It's
so if you're born today, May 16, 2004.
Today's your birthday.
Today's your birthday.
Okay, but now we're talking to infants. We can't.
Well, it's just an example. Your birth
in 20 years when you're watching this.
Your number is 20, but it's actually 2 because the 0, you just dropped the 0.
Yeah.
And if it was 21, let's say it was 21, you would add the 2 and the 1. The 2 and the 1 together, which would give you 3. So you're trying to get to that single number.
Single digit numbers.
So like my birth path number is 33. So for me, I add the 2 3s together. So I'm a 6.
She's a 6.
Jamie's a 7.
I'm a 7.
And the other one, our other partner,
Jolene is a 5.
Jolene's a 5. Yeah. So we got 5, 6, and 7.
which works out pretty funny for the 3 of us because we are all a little different but also the same, so it's kind of cool the way it goes in a line like that. The basis for numerology is really interesting, and since you talked about us being in sequential order, this is just
and then John's an 8.
And my brother's an 8.
Your brother's an 8.
Oh my gosh!
And then
no, I thought he was a 33 like you.
No, not John. No.
I think so.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, and then the boys have 2 grandsons that are 9s, and then 1 grandson that's a 22.
Giovanni's a 4.
So he's a 4.
So
we got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in our immediate family.
Which makes for a lot of fun because you have all these different dynamics of how people handle things. What your birth number will tell you and what you can tell other people about themselves is sort of how they handle everyday stuff. Sort of their worth. I told you.
My son's a 33.
I told her that. Yes.
I thought he was an 8.
My dad, you, and my brother are all 33.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I did not realize that. He so reminds me of an 8 because 8s are like the executives.
Yeah.
You know, and they're the ones that go, they like to make a lot of money. So 8s are about material things. And then let's see, what do I say about 8s? They're executive types, so they're very ambitious, achievers. It's a material number, so they like material things.
Yeah.
And they strive to make money. So I love to figure out what my bosses are because they're usually leaders, the people in these roles, the guys, the men that I've worked for that are like really strong CEOs of companies that I've worked for over the years.
Yeah.
They all seem to be like you can look at their number because I have the employee list, so I know
she can get into the documents.
I know everybody's birthday, and I can figure out their birth. But it's interesting to see what they are, and then sort of like, do they live up to what their number says they are. And
can you see it?
Can you see it? Yeah. Do you see it manifest? And can I see it as just somebody who's not really super close to them, just from a professional, professionally?
I do. I ask everybody their birthdays. I have no qualms about it. I always ask people their birthdays. I'm like, ooh, what's your birthday?
I found the most interesting thing you said about party tricks. So at our Christmas party last year, or Jayme's Christmas party last year, my next door neighbors, Ryan and Laura, were over. They both happen to be 7s. And so Jayme was telling them about their stuff. They're like, oh my God. Yeah. So the 2 7s and, as partners. I don't remember what you were saying about that, but they were fascinated with it. So this is the kind of stuff where it can be a fun party trick. Once you learn just a little bit.
Just a little bit
you don't have to know.
Yeah, because it's truly like, it gets good conversation going. And for me, I have social anxiety. I don't like going out and not knowing what to talk to people about because I don't like to have useless, pointless conversations. I don't truly want to talk about the weather or sports or what's been on the news because I don't watch those things. So for me, I like having really meaningful conversations, and I like bringing up stuff where people walk away going like, wow, I haven't talked about those things in this long, or like whoever gets that deep with a random stranger. That's me. I bring that out in people. I do that.
Well, she starts telling them about themselves and they're like, how do you know that?
Well, I have to ask their birthday first, but
yes,
and
of course.
It's really, because sometimes I'll do this. Actually, I've done it with almost all my bartenders. The guy at Back Porch, the younger kid, Jason, he got so offended. Like, I think I upset him telling him his number and about himself. He was.
Well, you can do that with people. I feel like numerology, in terms of like your birth path number, I feel like it's more accurate than my horoscope.
I think it can be. And so here's a fun thing. Ready? Tarot is how many cards? 76?
78.
8, 2, 70 something.
78.
Horoscopes are 12.
Yeah.
Numerology is only 9. It's a great place to start. It's a great place to start with your symbology. Okay. It's a great place.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I don't want to say I perfected it, because we have our books around us now. Yeah. I still love looking up stuff, because the person that I follow who has written the numerology books that I connect with the most, her name is Shirley Blackwell Lawrence. And the books that I have that she published are over 20 years old. So for the last 5 or 6 years, I looked for them on Amazon, and
I just looked this up. I bought this in June of 2014.
Yeah,
it's on my Amazon account, and it's still it's back in print, because Jayme was saying it was out of print,
and I was so sad.
But it's in print. It's like $10.
Best book
and
ever.
This is the best, because
in
the very beginning of it, you get like a whole chart, and you go through
your numbers,
and you figure out all your numbers, and you get way beyond what we're going to talk about tonight, but really interesting information.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting to learn about like your children,
the kid thing.
Yeah,
really
the kids,
helps.
especially if you're raising young kids.
Yeah.
I wish I had done this when my children were young. It would have really helped me understand them better, and
it would have helped us understand ourselves better.
It would have helped me communicate with them in the way that they needed me to.
Mm-hmm.
So I wish that I had been much more spiritual in my younger years, but that's the way it goes, and they still turned out okay. So
I'm awesome. I'm more than okay. Thank you.
Well, awesome.
No. What I was going to also say about this book, since it is on, how much was it on Amazon?
I think it's $10 or $12.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. I think it was 15.
15. Yeah. The other great thing about this book, if you have a kid that you're struggling with connecting with, or that they have bad habits that you're like, oh my gosh, if this carries into adulthood, this is going to be really difficult. You can go through the workbook for all of their numbers, and we have something called karmic debt numbers, and it's where our numbers of our birthday tell us some of the lessons we're here to learn. And there's even a part that tells you when you're going to learn the lessons. Like, it gets very deep. If you can get this book, it will blow your mind. You'll need to only do this for like a month, because you'll just find out so much stuff, and then you'll be doing other people's numbers, and you're like, oh, it's all coming together. I knew it. It really feels like a secret language for sure. But we're just going to do the fun stuff tonight. I want to help you guys remember the 9 birth path numbers, so that if you meet somebody and you feel frisky enough to ask them, be like, oh, what's your birthday? I wonder, I feel like I've known you forever. What's your number? Because often that's what'll happen. Like Selena says she's a 7. See, that's why we vibe.
Yeah,
that's it.
You will find that you're drawn to the same group of numbers.
Yeah.
types of numbers. Like, I don't know. I don't have many friends that are 8s because they're the real like intellectual ones and the CEOs and stuff.
They're too serious for her.
They're my bosses.
Yeah.
They're not ever my friends.
Same. David was an 8.
Yeah.
So my friends are usually 5s, 7s, 6s, double numbers, 1s probably, because that go-getter initiative. I see that Linda already put hers up there as a 1. All right. We're going to start with the 1. We're ready. Right?
With the number 1.
When we think of more things to say. But to remember the number 1, because I'm a visualization person, you guys. Are you ready to think about it? The 1 is a person standing alone. So when a person is standing alone, they're looking around going like, well, now what? You got to start doing shit, right? You got to like get into it. So 1s are notorious, of course, for starting stuff. Now, there's always like, there's also a spectrum. Right. So
they're also leaders.
They're leaders.
They're like the leader of the pack.
They're ready to get things started. They're ready to give inspiration.
They're just like the number 1 when we talk about it in witchcraft and tarot or whatever, where the 1 has these great ideas, but they don't want to do any of the mundane work.
They'll like get when it started.
They're good at like the Aries, right? Aries is the first sign of the zodiac.
Finishers. That's what you're trying to say.
They don't like the detail. They're like, let me get on to the next great idea that I have. So that's a 1. They stand alone. They're independent.
They're independent.
They're very independent and self-reliant, and they're leaders because they like to be the head of the pack, and they're idea people.
And you can find people leaning on them a lot, or if you're the 1, people may come to you for a lot of advice because they're like, oh, they'll know what to do. Especially
so
women.
That's
the number 1. So just remember, a person standing independent, getting ready to start something. It's like boom, it's the very beginning. And that's easy because it's the number 1, which begins the numbers.
Independence, ideas, individual or alone. I guess.
Well, independent. Individual ideas, independent. Okay. I want to flip to something really quickly because we already mentioned it, but each number is on a spectrum, right? So you got like all these positive aspects, woohoo, high five each other. Then you have the negative ones where you could be a 1 and you're really lazy. You don't want to start anything, or you're like, it's too much to do. So, and it's not like you're like that all the time, but you'll feel it when you are, where you're out of sync with stuff. So each number has sort of I want to say like the, shiny, shimmery stuff that we all love. And then the stuff that we're like, don't tell anybody about that bad habit that I have. Don't talk about my messes.
We all have that part of us.
Right. It's always a spectrum. So we're going to talk mostly about like the beneficial stuff, but at least one not so great thing. Cause then you can balance it. Cause you can see somebody and you're like, you're a 1. I don't see that. Your room is a mess. You don't like, what have you started? What projects are you involved in? They might just be on the down.
Yeah, they might be on the down, or maybe they're just in the detail part of it. It's like, I don't want to deal with the details.
Yeah.
I want someone else to handle the minutia because it's just not in my makeup to do it.
They want to lead and plan and all of that. Okay,
So I want to know, Linda, if that sounds like you. If you're like the leader, you're independent.
People are always coming to you to talk about stuff.
Yeah, so I'd like to hear. I am exactly that, but I'm a Scorpio.
Oh. Ooh, those are 2 different sides of the spectrum for sure. So if people don't follow your plan, you might get pissed off, or you might take it personally, or think that people don't like you. So
Scorpio here.
Scorpio. Yeah. My son's a Scorpio too. Okay, to move on to the number 2s. Okay, you guys. This is all about emotions. The 2s are emotional. They take things personally. They daydream a lot. They fantasize. And they often overload themselves with things. So they're sort of, I would say, empathetic. Like they feel everything. But the main part about the 2s is that their cup overflows and then they release it all, So they need to be able to let out those emotions to keep a healthy balance. I know this.
So what I have about 2s is the partnership. They really do work well in partnership. So you can see that when you look at the Roman numeral, those 2 together. Yeah. So with 2s, those 2 together, they like to partner with other people.
They don't want to be alone.
Yeah, they don't want to be alone. And they're very sensitive. So that's
the emotions part.
The emotional part. So they're really sensitive.
Well, when we think about that, in order to like deal with your emotions or even have emotions, you need another person to have a relationship with to bring up emotions. So whether it's relationships with your family, your friends, your coworkers, your partners, like that's where the emotions come from. It's about those dyslexia. Those personal connections. That's the 2. What else did you have
So
for the
also
2?
what I have is they're kind and cooperative and sensitive, and they can be
like
perfectionist. They like peace, and they bring harmony and balance into their space and into their.
That's what they want.
They create calm because that's where they thrive. So when you think of the number 2, balance, right? 2 things, teeter-totter, right?
Like the Libra sign.
Yeah, and so that's what I was thinking about now. So that was as far as I got with okay, yeah, I can do the number 1, standing alone, the leader with ideas. Number
Brianna's
2, together. Brianna's a 2.
Brianna. That's one of my base numbers. I'm a 2-5, so I feel both of those numbers pretty closely. That equals 7. 2s. We need people to help us get out of our own head most of the time. Like we overthink things. It's it's a base number of mine, but that's where the emotionalness comes in, right? Because we actually do give a fuck. We care too many fucks. Our jar is way too full of them. And we don't know what to do with all of that. And we're looking for other people to care also. We want to be in that community that cares. Partnerships, making it equal and balanced. Moving on to 3.
So 3s are great communicators.
Sorry.
Is that what you have? Great communicators?
3.
They have a way with words. They're sociable, popular. They hate practical and routine work because it interferes with their creativity.
Yeah.
So that's what I took little snippets from the book that describes each one of these. So again, it's just a few things, but if you're a 3, if that's your life, if that's your birth path number, some of those things might fit you. So what do you have to add for 3s?
Okay.
What is the 3?
Visualization for me. You know what the number 3 looks like. I want you to imagine that both of these mouths are just talking.
Yeah. Okay? Communicator.
These are comedians, actors, people who lie really well and get away with stuff, manipulators. They have that sense of knowing what to say, when to say it, how to read a crowd. It's very much that. And I know that because of letters also. So we're not doing this part tonight, but the letters that are underneath the 3 are C, L, and U. And it's get a clue, which means you need to stay aware of what's going on. The L leaks under doors. That's liars. It's all the things. So 3 really likes to be ahead of the game and think they're smarter than everybody. That might be on the more negative side of it, but they like to be aware. So usually they're funny because they can read the room really well.
Social and popular.
Yeah, they're good communicators normally.
Good with words. So that can be really talkative and expressive, or it can be manipulative. Depending on where the bend is.
The bent is. Where are you bent out of shape at? Which way are you leaning as a 3? Yeah. So 3s, I don't have a lot of 3s in my life.
Me neither.
I don't think I have any 3s in my life.
I don't know any 3s.
Because a 3.
Do we have any 3s on here?
Not yet. So with a 3, the reason that they probably don't fit in well in my circle is because they're a little bit too, all this. They don't want to get into the deep conversations and the feeling part of it, right? 3s are kind of like the 8s, where they just are, it's all in their head and that's it. And that's all that really exists. And then if it's not funny, they don't really want to think about it. If it's not bringing them something, they don't really want to do it or involve themselves. And working on themselves is not one of their strong suits. So if you know any 3s, they might resist help. They might think they know everything. It's a possibility. Okay, we're going to move on to 4s. You go first.
Okay, so for 4s, I have. So when I think of a 4, I think of balance because of the 4 legs of a table. So foundation, balance. And what I have for 4s is that they're organized and practical, and they want to do things right so that they can create this secure foundation for themselves. It's really important to them. And they're good with their hands, and it may be mechanical, it may be musical, it may be something else, but they work well with their hands, many of them. And they're very serious, and they have a hard time letting loose and letting go and having fun because they're so serious about their work primarily. That they have a hard time letting go and cutting loose. And then if they do, they feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
So what is the 4? Does the 4 represent the table?
Yeah, a table. I also think of a car. The four wheels on a car. Yeah. That's what I think about as far as stable, because the one thing that you got to know about a 4, if they have a plan, and they get a flat tire during this plan, their whole life is ruined now. Like they can no longer achieve anything. Everything's a disaster. And they really feel it. And they don't like not knowing what is to come next. Like for them, that's what security looks like.
It throws them off kilter.
It definitely. And so with the 4, you want to be, the structure thing needs to be there. They can't have somebody who they can't predict their habits or emotions. I've found that a lot of 4s are alone because they don't find somebody that gives them that balance that they can accept someone else's chaos. Like they might need another 4. I don't have a lot of 4s in my life.
Is that Giovanni?
Giovanni.
That's Giovanni. So I sort of see him as being like outside of a little bit, not outside of the family, but he sort of stands out. To me, he stands out from everybody else.
Well, he's not as openly emotional as all of us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
The 4, it's like everything kind of goes in here. It's like, nope, maintain, do this.
He's a really cool kid, but he's not. We're all talkative. We spill our emotions all over the kitchen table and floor and everything else, but not that kid. He holds it all in.
Yeah.
But
because they don't like the chaos of it. They don't like the unpredictability of it. They're probably one of the few people who really couldn't stay in an abusive relationship because the unpredictableness of all of that, they wouldn't be able to handle it. Like it would tear them down. It would break them down. So I think we talked about some good things of the 4. Listen, if you get a 4, honor that. That's going to be a hard worker, somebody who likes structure, who's always going to provide. They're always going to do what they say they're going to do. Their morals are really important to them. Like they do not like being called a liar or people thinking badly of them.
They have a very strong work ethic too, because they're here for the accomplishments through their work. That's how they're going to accomplish things in their life. It's going to be through their work.
And 4 is a step close to the 8, which this is going to symbolize that CEO mindset. So 4 is just kind of half of that energy of the 8. And you'll see that a lot of 4s, they're not trying to get to CEO level. They just want to get to like, I'm doing perfect. Everything I've done is good. I want to be accepted. I want everything to be okay. They're not usually trying to get more. So I've seen 4s that maybe are just okay doing like just the minimum, just doing what they want. And they're happy with that. They don't need to keep achieving. They don't want to like win the lottery. They don't want to get out there and buy boats and hoes and stuff.
Or lead a company, start a company. And
she said it better. I said boats and hoes, but lead a company. Definitely. That's the more professional one. Yeah.
Oh, and now we're on to 5. This is our most, I think 5 is our most interesting family member. One of our most, I guess we're all interesting, but we have a 5 and they like 5. We have a 5 and they love, let's see. So they're here to learn through experience. And, when I say that this is our younger one, my youngest one,
everything knows her name.
Everything
You're trying to hide it or something.
Not Jolene. Everything is with her. Everything is about experiences. She wants to constantly be having them all the time. Yeah. And when she's not having experiences, I think she's kind of depressed.
Life is drab.
Yeah, just like it's boring, and like she cannot handle very long going without doing things, going out, experiencing things. Let's see. So independent with lots of energy, active and energetic. Mm-hmm. They need a creative outlet. Or a hobby, and they're freedom lovers and can't stand to be fenced in.
Fences. All right. She said my key word for 5s. Don't fence them in. Yeah. They're a lot like a Sagittarius. Once you try to put a fence around them, they are going to be gone. They cannot stand the idea of being stuck. 5s, the bottom of the number moves on a rocker. You see how like the 5 has the rocker forward and backward, forward and backward. What?
Guess who's a 5?
Sarah
Bradley.
Aww, I love that. 5s are fun. Like 5s
they are
usually.
Fun. She's the most fun of everyone. She's always ready to go.
She's the one ready, like setting us up to do stuff.
Yeah, like the parties, the dressing up, all of this stuff. Sometimes it's exhausting.
I learned to do my makeup and hair from my younger sister because she's a 5 and I'm a 7. And I was like, But then she taught me, and I was like, oh, that's not that hard. This is great. So she's the one that's always had this really it's a large passion for life and to do stuff, to see everything, to go everywhere, to be involved, in the things that really matter to her. And I think each 5 is different about what they really care about. So if they're really into, paleontology, that's going to be their whole world, and everything about it is going to be that, and they're going to travel for it and study it and whatever.
Well, so interesting because she's a Taurus 5. And so Tauruses are ruled by Venus, and it's all about beauty,
textile, sensuality.
Sensuality and stuff. And that is totally her. I mean, the girl gets dressed up. Well, not always, but when she gets dressed up, it's to the nines. She looks like a model. I swear to God.
Every time.
When she goes out, she literally, And I mean, she's really the way she looks and presents herself to the world and everything is very important to her.
So a way to remember fives is it's the five senses. Okay. So they need all of those things filled, and their passions can be whatever, but it's about that experience in life. And fives don't like fences. So don't fence in a five. Because they'll become very unhappy, and the bright shiny thing that you fell in love with will slowly wither and die, like in The Little Mermaid with the people in the cave that's like, I gave you my voice. You remember the little things? Yeah, they shrivel up and die. That's what happens to a five if you fence them in. Okay, we're gonna move on to sixes. We were on a roll. You go first, then I go.
Okay, so I'm a six. And a six, if you look at the six, it's like a pregnant belly, a woman with a pregnant belly. So this is all about domestic life. I'm dyslexic. I will say some weird things. So it's love and family and domestic bliss and all of that. And that is so me. Oh my God. All I wanted when I was young was to have like 6 kids and just to raise all these little kids.
She just wanted to be a mom.
I wanted to be a mom. That was my whole thing in life, was I just wanted to be a mom. Yeah.
I have to tell them something now.
Okay, go ahead.
My mom told me when I was younger that when she was little, okay, so we're doing like a boom, boom, boom. We're going way back in time now. My mom said she was going to name her kid Telephone Pole. And I was like, why in the flipping what?
That's what I said when I was like 8. It was a joke. I was not.
She told me that.
I was not.
It stuck with me forever because I was like, oh my God.
Listen,
my name could have been Telephone Pole.
Listen, I know somebody whose name was Sterling Kitchen. So his last name was Kitchen. His first name was Sterling. And I'm like, how could you, as a parent, name your kid with the last name Kitchen and the first name Sterling?
What about Jackson?
William Williams. It's like, damn, you couldn't think of anything else. Like, seriously?
Well, there's like, the naming of us is very interesting. And, I'm glad I got my name. Jayme.
So 6, the other thing about 6 is like, well, of course we're emotional because it's all that like love and family and stuff like that.
Part of the 2 group.
Let's see what else. Home, family, children is really, really important to us. And we're good parents. 6 is known as the cosmic parent.
It is. Yep. Cosmic parent. So the 6.
And I'm not sure what that means, but
it means that you can mother anybody.
Oh, okay. All right, little stars, come down here. I'll take care of you.
You're ready to be everybody's mom.
That sounds about right.
But you're Scorpio.
Because I've taken in a lot of strays in my life that ended up like
that's why I do that.
Hanging around for like 20 years and shit.
That she does. She's out of it now a little bit.
Yeah, I passed. I'm finally past that phase of rescuing people. Men in particular.
You're a tree people want to find shade under. It's comfort. It's comfort.
Yes.
For 6s, for me, the biggest symbology of it is the 6 and the 9 together. That is a family unit. If you look at them together, like with the Cancer symbol, it's a man looking over the woman as she's pregnant, and it continues to circle like this because you change roles, right? So while he's protecting, a person, I hate to be all sexist and shit, whatever, man and woman, that's what I'm doing right now. She's pregnant, he's up here, and they are looking after each other because she is bearing the next generation, and this is all going to happen again. So that's why it's sort of the 6 and 9 for Cancer to me also sort of represents the infinity of family, where it just, you can see it sort of look like it would continue to swirl around. There's not hard edges here. Everything about it is soft and caring. The way that we write the letter 9 has a curved tail, not a straight line. Same with the 6, it's curved. So you think about these two flowing into each other and taking on each other's roles and helping each other out. That's a really good representation of the 6, is being that cosmic parent, because the father can also go from that upright 9 symbol. If you flip it again, guess what happens? Now it's the same thing. The roles are reversed. So rather than being genetically whatever, male or female, you take on a role as a parent, whether you think you're a mom and aunt of everybody, the local grandma, whatever. It's about the parenting side of it, the nurturing side of it. 6s are nurturers. They're meant to do that. That's what they want to do. That's what they really want to do. The only time that it gets messed up for them is when they have unhealthy relationships, bad dispositions with other people, mental health issues. Like that all stops their nurturing and can turn it to be something more painful, probably.
Yeah.
Like stalking and, shit that's just not legal.
Healthy.
Yes, that word.
I have to say that Brianna's grandpa's name is Dickhead. I assume he went by Dick.
Yeah.
But his Richard, because I don't know if he's, depending on how old he is, if he was born like, I think the 50s, even maybe the 60s, they called Richard's nickname was Dick. Instead of Rick, Rick came along later.
Yeah, I'm traumatized from stuff like that.
Dick, I think, is what they called your grandpa. Dick Williams.
Grandpa Dick. Come on. Okay, so one of my first experiences with the name Dick ever, was I worked in a real estate office for a little while, and I had to page people over the intercom. So I used to have to say, and it would take me a minute. Like I had to gain composure because I was in the Navy and we cuss a lot and we make fun of a lot of things. So trying to be serious, saying the word dick was hard for me. It was extremely difficult. There's a pun in there somewhere. So I would have to like really concentrate and then be like, Dick, you're needed at the front desk. Like I'd have to get into another person completely because otherwise you would hear me like a little kid every time. It's terrible.
I need Dick. I need Dick at the front desk now.
It's sad. If it wasn't, I don't know.
Sorry, all the dicks of the world.
Well, that's like when I moved to South Carolina and it's the Gamecocks. Oh my gosh. Everybody has the word Cox all over them everywhere. Every car has it just says Cox too. It's just like t-shirts, Cox, cock everywhere. And it's meant to be Gamecocks. And so when I moved there, I was like, what in the hell is wrong with this town? Like, it's crazy. Columbia, South Carolina, you guys. I live there.
Okay, so, oh my gosh, I don't know if you guys watch Facebook Reels, but there's one going around about black cock and white cock. I guess there's 2 different kinds of cock. And there's a woman going like, which is better, white cock or black cock? And she's doing like this whole thing. And it's like, there's another person. If anybody's seen this, you got to speak up because it's freaking hilarious. Because while she's talking, the woman's showing the 2 different kinds, and it's actually cock. It's like, well, for black cock, you use it in this, and then white cock you use here. And then there's a person that's like a side by side, and the person who's watching her is just going like.
So when they're talking about using it, do they mean like to cook it?
What? No, it's cocking like cock.
Oh, I was thinking chickens. Chickens. Oh my God. I was like, what do you mean? Use them for what? Are they eating them? Like, okay. There's too many cock words out there. I don't know. All right.
C-A-U. Okay.
You didn't say
I
that.
didn't spell.
I was talking about like a fighting cock.
I know.
And you said cock, so I was thinking of chicken. Like,
okay.
There's all those chicken reels that I want. All right. This was a rabbit hole. That was fun. My Lord.
And now we'll move on to the 7, which is Jamie's number. She would love to tell you about that for the next 30 minutes.
Do you have 2 hours? No. All right. 7s can seem very serious and very bitchy and very aloof. That's our downside because we're always analyzing and watching and looking and like we're picking up on everything for some reason. Our brain it just wants to get everything in there and decode it all and make little graphs and charts about it so that we can analyze it and really think later. 7 is the thinker.
They're like, here to gather wisdom.
They are.
They're here to gather wisdom. That's why they're here.
I can't help myself.
Yeah.
I saw an ADHD reel the other day and I made my husband listen to it and I was like, no. Oh my God, my sister's calling me. Did it end our? No. Are we still here? Okay. Oh, yes. That just Jolene just called. She must have felt us talking about her. And it took our screen away. Oh, and that's okay. She's celebrating her birthday this weekend.
Where's your phone?
I don't know, Mommy. Okay. I never know where my phone is.
Okay, it's fine.
But it's on my watch.
We'll just keep ignoring her.
she forgets, she used to be part of this, but she forgets that we 7 o'clock on
Thursday night that we have a thing.
Sevens. I forgot where I was going with
Thinkers,
that.
analytical, scientific, deep, secretive.
Deep. We're deep. And that's why people think we're aloof, because
they're learners too.
We don't give everything away right away. We need to watch other people do stuff so we can understand our position in it. And then we analyze them and be like, do I want to open up to you? No.
So they're either coldly scientific or warmly spiritual. And that can fluctuate from day to day. So they also are happiest surrounded by nature, which I think is so true of you.
It's so true.
Yep.
So I think the reason
why it's the spiritual number too, isn't it?
It is the spiritual number. It's considered a lucky number. I've never really got to the bottom of that, why they picked 7. But, people talk about how many times 7 is mentioned in the Bible, and that's, sort of where its spiritual thing came, and 7s of all the lucky things that people have made
7 wonders of the world, 7 this, 7 that.
7, 7, 7, 7.
Yeah, 7s, lots of 7s.
7 is a number. This is a good way to remember 7. 7 looks back, like it's facing the wrong direction. It's looking back over all of the other numbers that came before it, 1 through 6. And this is where we gain our wisdom, is because we know we've lived the life path of all those other numbers. And now we're at the 7 and we're like, okay, so I'm almost complete with the cycle. I got to get to 9. But right now, look at everything I've learned and look at all the processing I can do. And, I can make a difference here with all that knowledge. A lot of times 7 want to get their knowledge out into the world because they've spent a lot of time researching it, analyzing it, gathering data, and they want to get it out there. And that could be spiritual data. It could be scientific data. I think that every 7 has either a strong spiritual knowing, or they are completely lacking and they're agnostic. They can't believe in anything because there's not enough proof for them. I have dated many 7s. I don't know how we always just keep matching up. My husband now is a 7. Yeah. My son's father was a 7. So when we get connected, you have these 2 fluctuations of the number, and sometimes they come together and it's a beautiful, wonderful thing, like what I'm in right now. And other times you get together, you have a kid, and then you're like, who the fuck are you? Wait, what? Oh. And then you go your separate ways because you got to match that energy with a 7. They can't stay in situations where it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Okay. 7s are awesome. We're not bitchy like we appear. When we just have that serious face, we're just thinking and recording stuff. So,
okay. Number 8, we talked about a little bit about 8 when we first started, just because I don't know why, but 8s are here to excel in their line of work and to be successful. So they are all about, they're your executive types.
Oh, yeah.
Very ambitious, achievers. It's a material number. They want money. They strive to make money and to have a good life. And they are happiest when they can find a balance between their spiritual self and their material self. Because you can't just be materialistic. It doesn't bring you peace. So that's what I know about the number. It's also the as above, so below number, or the infinity symbol when you turn it sideways.
Yep. Where's my hands? There. I'm kind of getting it. The 8. All right. Picture the 8. I just noticed a random hair on my shirt. Picture the 8 and the 2 balls that are balancing on each other. That is what makes the CEO. That's what makes the number 8 such a good CEO, because they're catching everything, every little tilt, shuffle of the things. They're like, oh. So they're kind of they're finding the things out beforehand, or they're guessing it because they've always just been balancing those 2 sides, right? I have never met an 8 that has any kind of spiritual inkling ever.
Any what?
Spiritual anything.
Oh, spiritual?
Yeah. They don't like religion. They don't like spirituality. It's that's all fluff. But they might believe in aliens. That could be something. So their belief, what I found out about 8s is that they're not really in the belief world. They're in the what's in front of me, what's real world. And they want to make things more real. They're very good with money. Not just they want money. They want security, but they're very good at making money. They usually make really good decisions when it comes to making money. And they are 100% about saving every penny and not buying a shower curtain because that's an extra $5 they don't need to spend. And
that's got to be Marvin. Somebody I worked with, that's got to be Marvin. He was such a miser. He has so much money and he would not spend it.
A miser.
He wouldn't even pay for cable. He's like, I'm not paying for that.
Right. He's an 8, 100%.
Why?
Yeah.
I'm going to figure it out because I know his birthday is January 1st. 50, 60, 19, 59 or 60. I can't remember now.
Well, I'll tell you guys a super personal story since, we were always just telling all of our business over here.
We know you guys love that.
Yeah.
You love hearing about our messy lives.
Messy. So
then it's not that bad, right? Or we're as bad as everything else out there. I don't know.
We're all just normal. This is just normal shit that everybody goes through.
We look perfect, but we're not.
What?
She's a charmed life, but really this is just a facade. This is all gonna fall down behind us in a minute, and there's gonna be an empty field.
Reminds me of the Taylor Swift video. Which one was it where she pushes the walls out of the room and then it's just the universe? I love that. Okay, that's my life. No, so personal story on this. I'm a 7, super spiritual, highly evolved, empath, all these things. My dumbass went and married an 8 because he was my high school boyfriend. And I was like, I don't really know what else I'm doing lately. Why not get married at 19? That'll be fun.
See my face here?
And I really only thought about it as a piece of paper. I truly did. And when my mom called me and was like, don't you dare. And I was like, I do what I want. I'm a grown up. And then she called the guy that I was going to marry and was like, don't marry her. She'll get tired of you. Like, she's going to leave you. And I was so pissed at her. I was like, what is wrong with you? Why would you tell somebody that? Because it was true. So anyways, I got married at 19 to an 8. And he was one of the most devastating relationships I ever could have had because he was a unspiritual penny pincher who believed that I was like sleeping with anybody and everybody, including my girlfriends. I'm like, I don't even know. He needed the control, and I made all the money because I was in the military and he had no job and he didn't know what to do with himself. So the negative traits of the 8 really came out for him. His control, like instead of having a career or money or anything that he could do anything with, living on base for free, he started trying to control me, right? The object in his life that might be able to be controlled. And he went really hard with it. Like, got into the verbal abuse, smashing shit. Like, he never hit me or put his hands on me whatsoever. But
he made you feel terrible about yourself.
Oh my God. He wouldn't let me eat ever. He was like, should you be eating that? Like, don't you think you're big enough? Then when I went to the gym, I was fucking everybody at the gym. And I'm like, I can't win with this.
And I think what I told him was that he would be riding your coattails because he didn't have his own thing.
Yeah.
And she was in the Navy and had plans. She was planning to be in there for 20 years.
I was very successful.
And he didn't have any plans. He had nothing. He was just going to follow her around the world. And like, no man is going to be happy doing that for very long.
Well, and I tried to get him into different jobs, but guess what? He was too good for that. I was like, well, then I guess you're just going to, I don't know what the fuck you're going to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's really different. If you've ever been in a place where you didn't have to work because you didn't need money, but you needed to work because you needed something to do. He was in one of those situations, but he chose to just get really mad about it and then to take it out on me. So that's more of the side of an 8 when they don't want to be controlled by other people either. They need to be in charge of their own lives. And I don't know what happened to him after. We were only married like a year and 8 months or something. And I was like, And
not only was it a lot of heartache and pain and all that shit, but then he ended up taking half of her money. He got half of her money.
Okay, he didn't take it.
He got half of her money when they got divorced, which was a lot.
He was allowed. So the military, when you get divorced and, this poor civilian that you're just dumping on the side of the road. Oh my God, I worked for all this. He didn't do anything. They allow them to take whatever they want from the house, like literally anything and everything. And they're allowed to take half of what is in the bank account that you guys share. Now, not a single dime of that was his, but he got to take, just over 10 grand from me. And that was it. And then
I thought it was 40.
No, that was my bonus. What do you know?
Oh, okay. All right.
I had a $40,000 sign-up bonus. No, he only got 10 grand.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was enough to get rid of my problem.
That's okay.
No.
I guess it was worth it.
I did bad things on the furniture before I sent it back there, though. We all find our own ways to, make it right.
All right. Lastly, let's.
So the 8.
There you go.
That's a long story about the 8. Just personal shit. You'll find that if you start looking back at people's birthdays that you remember, you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, start doing your old boyfriends, numbers,
family members that you don't,
especially the ones that were either they were like blissful and you were so happy and you got along so well, at least so you didn't, or the ones that were like from after 30 days, you were like, what the fuck? I was ignoring all the red flags. And now I'm stuck here with this guy, do that, because you'll find it so interesting, especially when you know your number, then their number, then how they go together.
This is how you'll learn so much more about yourself.
You'll learn. Yep.
Because you're going to understand that your number is what allows you to pick these other numbers. And then you're like, oh, no wonder we didn't work out. Like, we just weren't even on the same planet.
I feel like I can feel the energy of other people's numbers. I'm like, yeah, I just don't vibe with you. You must be something that I don't have. I don't have any twos.
The 3 or 4 numbers that we have in our life that we don't have in our life.
Yeah, just a few that are not, that I don't know. I just don't have any, and I just don't vibe with them. They're not my vibration. Not that they're bad. It's just we're
not naturally drawn to each other.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens.
Yeah.
And so, there are the rare occurrences that we have people that are not our numbers. Like, Linda, I may not have any ones in my life, but you're in my life, I'm in your life, and you're a 1 and I'm a 7. We make this work, right? And I think that if we were around each other, we would be able to hang out and have fun. It would be okay. But the people who become the one that you're calling at 2 a.m. because you're, I don't know, sick, heartbroken, bored as hell. Those people usually have very similar numbers to you. It's not that you can't be friends with all the other numbers. That's not it at all. It's where do you find the things that you agree on or the lifestyle that you both want? Mm-hmm. I love my nephew, Giovanni. I love him to death. Yeah. But I swear when he's around, I'm like, are you okay? I feel like you're not happy here. Are you all right? It just feels weird. I'm like, I just let him do his thing. But so there's that energy, there's that weird thing that happens. So start doing your boyfriends, your family members, your children, your mother,
your
mom and dad,
your mother
aunts,
and father,
uncles, grandmas.
You'll learn so much. All right.
About you and them.
The last one, number 9.
Number 9. I love number 9. Okay. Number 9 is the humanitarian. It's the best way to think about the 9. It's the last number in the evolution of numbers, right? Because then we're going to start over at 1 and 0. But 9 is the humanitarian. They've learned all the other lessons to think about this. And this is metaphorical, not real. They didn't live 8 lives and now they're in their 9th life. That's not what I'm saying. But the number, what it possesses is the lessons of the previous 8, right? So they've been the starter. They've been the emotional one. They've been the charismatic comedian. They've had all their shit together and just done menial work as the 4 with their hands. They've had no fences like the 5 and just been free wild, do whatever I want, possibly died of an overdose, just weird shit that happens to people with no fences. What? Don't shut.
Nothing.
I'm trying to go through the numbers with their weird quirkiness.
5, 6.
Then 6, one life, they had a whole family. They learned all the relationships and dynamics of a family. Then they went on to 7. They became that spiritual hermit that just sat around contemplating life and connecting with nature.
In their books.
In their books.
Yeah.
And in nature.
In their books. In nature
books.
With their books.
In nature with their books. On to the 8 where they came back and it's I know so much now. I can take charge of all of this. I can lead. I can pick out people who are good for these things. So they went from that leader. Now they're at the 9. They're I don't really have to do anything now.
Now they just want to help people. They want to help people evolve.
So 9 being the humanitarian. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
We're doing the thing.
It's all right. It's fine.
Because I'll forget to say this part.
Go ahead.
Because this is what I say to my son all the time. 9s can be anything they want to be, which is a blessing and a curse. They can morph into anything they want to be. Yeah. They can do any job. They can get along with any peoples. They can literally be whoever they want to be. But that is really hard to make a decision, right? So that's actually
a lot of choices.
It's a lot on a young mind. Both my son and my nephew, they're both 9s, just a really tough time. What's my purpose here? What's my, not understanding their purpose, not knowing what to do. Mm-hmm. They're almost wishing somebody would tell them what to do. They wish they had something they were really good at. They're good at all things, whatever would they want to try. So that jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing, that fits with the 9.
Mm-hmm. They're also romantic and they love deeply and they make good marriage partners.
Because they're faithful and they care.
Deep feelings, sensitive to others, and they have a dramatic flair for living. So in addition to all those other things. So that's a 9. If you have a 9 in your life, I feel like you're lucky.
9s, 9s are good.
I love 9s.
Yeah. Well, they're the people who can make you feel included no matter what. They're always going to get you. A lot of times, 9s have already done a lot in their life. They're the person who, traveled. They've done crazy hardcore drugs. They were celibate for 5 years, living in Tibet or something, trying to be a monk. And then they are just in the US now working at Starbucks because they don't need to do anything else. And they're like, yeah, I'm here. It's fine. They flow like that, right? They have these intensities. They try out for a while and then they just go to the next thing so easily, so effortlessly. Like they're not going to be the people that work at the same job for 20 years and then retire. That's not the 9. That's not the way the 9 works. They want to be like full of adventure, doing stuff. Did you ever see that movie Up in the Air? It's George Clooney.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy who's just like, do whatever I want. Backpack guy. It's like, unpack your backpack. Nothing's important. I don't remember. Tony loves that movie. But that's what a 9 is like. They don't want to necessarily be tied down, but they want things that are personal and connect them. They want to be able to revisit things. So they're a conundrum of sorts, They're all the numbers mushed into one. So you got all those other things going on.
All right. Yeah. So book recommendations. I think it's author recommendation. If you can find books by Shirley
Blackwell Lawrence.
This just says Shirley Lawrence. Does that
Shirley
say
Blackwell Lawrence?
It says Shirley Lawrence or Shirley Blackwell Lawrence.
Yeah.
Same person. So we
Secret
got
Science of Numerology.
We have 3 books. Exploring Numerology, Life by the Numbers. The Secret Science of Numerology, this actually doesn't have birth paths in it. It has a ton about words and letters. So if you're like thinking about naming a kid, if you're going to have a baby, I mean, you just don't even know how important their name is. Like Jayme intentionally picked her son's name with the C, Cameron with the C, because she wanted him to be she wanted him to talk, to speak, to vocalize things. Right? Did I say that right?
I wanted him to have the open mouth of the C. Yeah.
Yeah. So a good one, especially if you know somebody that's going to have a kid, like picking their name is so important.
People don't know that like your name, and it's not just numerology. Like what do you call that when we do our name stuff? I guess that is numerology, isn't it?
It is numerology, but it's called,
I don't know what the actual thing is called.
I forget what it's called.
That's something that I know really well because like I said, I got this book more than 20 years ago and I've studied it through all of my relationships, having my child, my breakups, my bosses, the places I've lived, the roads I live on. I do this for everything because it really gives me a sense of what's going on. And so now when I go out into the world, that's my secret knowledge that I take with me. I know when I see certain numbers, I'm like, that's a sign for me. My spirit guides they know I read numbers. They know I pay attention to that. So if they want me to acknowledge something, be somewhere, follow a car, do something, I'm like, they give me numbers. And I'm like,
yeah,
I got it.
And while we talked about birth path numbers, all the numbers have vibrations. So like when I was looking for a house, for every address that I looked at, I did the numerology number. I wanted to know what number the house was because certain numbers lend themselves to like being alone and just being like reclusive.
Yeah, like if you're a one.
Yeah, and just like, and others are like more like this is going to be an entertainment. You're going to have lots of company. And there's a lot of people going to come through here.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to learn this. And like Jayme said, there's only 9 numbers and 27 letters in the alphabet.
26.
26. Okay.
We can make a 27th letter called the dyslexic letter that sneaks in there sometime, and you don't even know what it is. You're like,
yeah. So it's a super interesting study. I feel like if you want to do that, if you're into
it's so good.
But you can also just pick up the book and then from time to time, as you need to know things about someone or about a situation that you're facing,
family,
like helping somebody out, like understanding things from a numerology perspective and the vibrations of letters and numbers can really, I just feel like it's been very helpful for me. I know it's been really helpful for you.
I know it makes me want to go through the whole alphabet with people. Like that would be a long live, but
for sure.
Man, you guys, when I get to know people, I love doing this for them because there's so much that you can get out of it where you feel, I think the first thing it does, right? We always assume or suspect things of ourselves, but there's no real confirmation. Like we can read tarot cards and be like, oh yeah, but I could interpret it this way, that way. When you have numerology, that's it. That's what's happening. And so when somebody can give you like, this almost feels like a scientific answer to the things.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get this rush of like, I knew it. I knew that was always, I knew it. And it feels amazing to have that confirmation of yourself. your personality, your past relationships, whoever. Like that feels so amazing and it makes so much sense. I feel like there's a lot of growth in that. That's what I've gotten from it as I've read through things where, you know, when my relationships end, I've always ended them. I'm the one that walks away, but I realize why. Like I do all my research first. I look at the numbers. I look at the birth paths. I look at all the things. And I'm like, you know, I can see how this could have worked out, but they have really bad habits, you know, like
the spectrum. Remember, there's everything's on a spectrum, so
right.
You can.
Because my ex and my husband are the same numbers, 1,000% different people.
Linda says 3, 6, and 9 follows her around.
Well, of course it does.
Yeah, because they're derivatives of all.
Right. 3, 6,
3, 6, 9. Yeah, makes sense.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised I don't know more 3s with my 33 and then my 6.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I'm a master number. As a 33, I'm a master number.
Ooh. I think the reason why you don't have a lot of 3s in your life is because you see through their comedy that's hiding pain, and you're just like, if you don't spit it out, I don't believe you. Like she needs people to get deep with her real fast and tell her everything, and then she builds trust. But they got to bare their soul.
It's true. As a Scorpio, I have to go deep. That's it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
well, that's why
I'm not interested.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna bore me with your job again? Oh, wow. Tell me about how your uncle touched you when you were 5. That's what I really want to know about.
How did your mother treat you?
Yeah. We go off on some tangents.
For sure we do. All right, you guys. Well,
we love y'all so much. I hope you guys
thank you for allowing us to go off on our tangents and
learn some weird stuff about us today.
Share our lives with you and our little stories. And I hope that you can relate to them.
Yes.
And that you found something useful from this live.
Yeah, for sure. This is something that, unlike anything else in my practice, I've never put down. You know how like you pick up things and you put them down and you're like, I'll get back to that. I've never put this down. It's just too real for me. And I hope that you guys find a way to use it for you that betters your life and betters your relationships and the understanding of other people and yourself, because that's what it's really done for me. When I realized that I'm very sensitive, I was like, oh, so people really are not talking about me behind my back all the time. I'm just like, I just imagine that. Pretty much.
This is the best one, I feel like, for beginners because it's in the beginning, it's a book about self-reflection is what you're doing here.
It's like shadow work. It's like shadow work.
It's like shadow work. And you even learn what your karmic debt is.
Yeah.
Your karmic lessons, like what you're here to learn because those are the missing numbers in your name. Well, letters. I think it's in your name.
Yeah.
Missing letters in your name. And you can learn about your kids and stuff. So I think this is the best one. I found it on Amazon. It's on Amazon for like $15 or $16, but I also saw it on Alibris, which is a used book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a used book site. So if you want to start somewhere, this is it because it's super interesting.
So interesting.
Yeah. So have fun with it, you guys.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye, witches. Hope you guys have a great weekend.
Yep.
Do you remember what next week is?
Nope.
Love it. All right. We'll be there though.
See you next week.
See ya. Bye.